We continue with the book Philothea, written by St. Francis de Sales, and it's an introduction to the devout life. Part 4, Chapter 12, and the title is Sadness. The sorrow that is according to God, saith St. Paul, worketh penance steadfast unto salvation, but the sorrow of the world worketh death. It's in the Old English. But basically, the sorrow that is according to God brings salvation, and the sorrow of the world brings death. Second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 7, verse 10. Therefore, sorrow may be either good or bad, according to its results upon us. Undoubtedly, there are more bad than good results from it, for the good results are but two, namely, penitence and mercy, while there are 6 evil results: anguish, indolence, indignation, jealousy, envy, and impatience. Wherefore the wise man said, sadness has killed many, and there is no profit in it. The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 30, verse 25. Since from its source spring but 2 good and 6 evil rivers, it is only toward the good that the enemy employs sorrow as a temptation. For inasmuch as he seeks to make sinners take delight in their sin, so he seeks to make good works grievous to the good. And as he can only lead the one to evil by making it seem agreeable, so can he only deter the other from what is good by making it seem disagreeable. Satan delights in sadness and melancholy, since he himself is sad and melancholy, and will be so to all eternity, a condition which he would have all to share with him. Unholy sorrow disturbs the soul, disquiets her, arouses vain fears, disgusts her with prayer, overpowers the brain and makes it drowsy, deprives the soul of wisdom, resolution, judgment, and courage, and crushes her strength. In short, it resembles a hard winter, which withers the beauty of the earth and numbs all life, for it deprives the soul of all suppleness, rendering all her faculties of no avail and powerless. If you are ever assailed by this hurtful sadness, adopt the following remedies. Is any among you sad? Asks St. James. Let him pray. This is from the letter of James, chapter 5, verse 13. Prayer is a sovereign remedy, for it raises the soul to God, who is our only joy and consolation. But in prayer, let your emotions and words, whether inward or outward, conduce to trust and love of God, such as, O God of pity, merciful and good God, loving Savior, God of my heart, my joy, my hope, my beloved spouse, beloved of my soul, and such as these. Vigorously check the inclination to sadness, and although you seem to do everything coldly, sadly, and without fervor, go on all the same, for the enemy would fain enfeeble our good works by sadness. And when he finds that we will not discontinue them, and that they are but the more meritorious through resistance, he will cease to annoy us. Refresh yourself with spiritual songs, which have often caused the tempter to cease his wiles, as in the case of Saul, whose evil spirit departed from him when David played upon his harp before the king. The first book of Kings, chapter 16, verse 23. It is also useful to be actively employed, and that with as much variety as may be, so as to divert the mind from the cause of its sadness, and to purify and enliven the mind. For sadness is a cold, withering passion. So in other words, it's best to keep busy and to really continue our usual duties and to do them as best we can to keep the mind distracted. Also, make use of outward acts of fervor, even though you have no delight in them, such as embracing the crucifix, pressing it to your heart, kissing the hands and feet hanging thereon, raising your eyes and your hands to heaven, and calling upon God with words of love and reliance, such as, "My beloved is mine, and I am his," from the book of Canticles, chapter 2, verse 16. Or, "A bundle of myrrh is my beloved to me, a cluster of myrrh my love," also from the book of Canticles, chapter 1, verse 12 to 13. "My eyes have failed for your word, saying, when will you comfort me?" This is from the Psalms, Psalm 118, verse 82. "O God, you are my God. My soul thirsts for you, and it shall be filled." Psalm 62, verse 2 to 6. "Who shall separate us from the love of Christ?" The letter to the Romans, chapter 8, verse 35, and so forth. The discipline in moderation is useful in overcoming sadness, because this voluntary external affliction produces internal consolation, and the soul experiencing outward pain is distracted from that which is within. Frequent communion is an excellent remedy, for that heavenly food strengthens the heart and gladdens the spirit. So he's saying here, discipline in moderation, when we can fast from food and drink, or excessive food and drink, fast from media, allow our souls to enter the silence, and then there we will meet God. When we kind of silence all of our senses in order to allow God to become that much stronger in us. And this is what he's saying. Voluntary external affliction produces internal consolation, and frequent receiving of Jesus in Holy Communion. To go to daily Mass is a great source of comfort and spiritual joy. It's really a wonderful way to overcome all evils. Then he continues to say, "Make known to your confessor and guide all the emotions, cares, and suggestions which spring from your sadness. With faithfulness and humility, seek the society of devout persons as much as is practicable. And above all, resign yourself into God's hands, disposing yourself to suffer your grievous sadness with patience, as the fitting punishment for your vain joys. And never doubt that when God has sufficiently tried you, he will set you free from this trial." It's normal to feel deeply sad at times, and it can be overwhelming, the emotions that we go through when we are misunderstood by others or rejected. There's so many different things that can deeply wound us. But we have to remember that no matter how broken our heart is, the heart of Jesus is far more wounded. And he has such an empathy for us in our suffering. When we turn to him and when we're aware and remind ourselves he's with us, then our suffering is transformed by him. The negative becomes a positive, like the cross. If there's only the negative, there's no cross. So when we turn to Jesus, he adds the positive, to turn it into a cross, to turn it into something that is meritorious, that is sanctifying, that can bring grace of sanctification for ourselves and for many others. And we are never alone. Jesus is always with us. And he experiences our own pain even more than we do. So in faith, hope, and love, through the power of grace, through the power of prayer, closely united to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, who is pierced by the sword of sorrow, she also understands us very much. And our dear Papa Saint Joseph, he also deeply understands our sufferings. And we are allowed to feel that pain. And it's okay to say it hurts. But we should strive not to waste that pain, but let it become salvific. Let it become a source of grace for many souls and who are in such need of God's mercy right now. Let us hope that we can always, in our times of sadness, turn to God with great trust and with deep humility, accepting these trials that he allows us to go through, and uniting ourselves closely to his Sacred Heart. God bless you.